So then what? Okay, so we have our bump. There are a lot of different kinds of head covering scarf options. In Israel, there's a ton. You can find a lot more in the United States now, and you can make your own. This is a basic triangle. It's just one gigantic triangle of, nice cloth. And this, you could go into a craft store and ask for a giant, either square or triangle piece of fabric and stitch the ends, and you have an automatic headscarf. So this kind is actually really easy to work with. You want the bottom center to be down directly behind your head, and you're going to pull it over. And I always like to have extra fabric here because I like to fold it over, because if the bump does start to slip during the middle of the day and it's moving backwards, I can undo a little bit of this if more of my hair starts showing. So it gives me like buffer room, which I really like. So for a triangle scarf, all you're going to do is pull it back, tie it once. I usually only tie it once. And then you end up with this sort of tail. And a lot of women will leave the tail out. I don't like leaving the tail out. It's never been my style. So what I usually do is, first thing, I take these up, I take them over the top, and I tie it. Not super tight, it's going to stay on its own. I tie it fairly loosely. And then with these extra strands, I just stuff them under. I sort of wrap them around what's already here. So those are like that, so it gives you a little bit of texture here. And then with the tail, like I said, you can either leave it out or fold it under, and you end up with this. You end up with a very clean, simple do, and the bump gives you that extra height, so it's not just straight flat down. Very simple, very easy. And like I said, you've got this little bit of extra here. You can play with it, you can pull it down, you can pull it up. I like wearing my ears in. I think it looks kind of weird out, I don't know. So I never wear them out, I always wear them in, but you can do it either way. So this is another triangle. I wear this one a lot. It's got lots of different textures and patterns on it. So when you do tie it up and over, you end up with this really sort of cool gush look, I would call it. I'll just show you this one really quick. It's the same thing. I leave some extra, I pull it up. Not too much. And it's funny because I've gotten really, really good about doing this in the dark. I've put on many a head covering in the dark, which is why it's sort of old hat. So this one I'm going to poke it under first. Now this one you could wear it out because it's got this nice texture, you could wear it back. But I like tying it up because when you tie this one up, because of the little bobbles that dangle down, it gives you this extra added sort of weird texture to your head, and so it gives you not only a lot of shape, but it just adds a lot to sort of the volume, which is really nice. So this is a really nice one. This was a gift for me for my wedding from friends, and it's just gorgeous. You can find a lot of ones like this here in Israel. So this is another one. This is the T style. I bought this one for Shavuot. It was sort of like a Chag gift to myself. But the cool thing about this, so this is on the front. It has the two T sides to it, but you can see there are different patterns, different textures. This is a very popular style here because it makes you look like you're wearing 30 different scarves and you're only wearing one, which is super convenient. But because this one has this flower on it, there's really only one way you can wear it. You can't switch things up very much. And then the other side is just plain. So this one, because there's a very specific way to wear it, do the same thing. You pull it around back. Need a little bit more space up front. There we go. So you do the same thing. As always, the basic first step, tie it once in the back. Okay, and on this one the sides are uneven. And this is the decorative side and this is sort of like the plain side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this under. I'm going to pull it tight again. Okay. Now, because the decorative pattern is over here and we want to see this on the top, I'm going to pull this over first. You can fold it in half so you only see the orange, or you only see the sort of, I don't know, grayish, greenish color. But because there's patterns up here already, we're going to do, let's do the orange. Pull the orange up here. And then I'm just going to hold this here. Because this needs to be sort of covered up by this. So I'm going to hold it there and then just pull this up over. And you can see, poof, just like magic, you automatically have layers, you have this cool little accessory. And then with this, what you can do is you just take it back. It's going to go pretty far around, which I find kind of strange because I have a giant head. But this, you just tuck, push, and bam, you have this look that looks so layered and so time consuming, but really all it is just one creative scarf and a bump. This is a giant square, but as you can see, it is chetzi chetzi. It's half and half. It's half one fabric and half another fabric. And it's huge. And I love this one because when you do take it up and over the top, depending upon which side you want, you can fold, when you fold back, you get this cool two pattern effect. And then I'm not gonna tie anything, but when you do different things, you get all sorts of different fabric effects, which is really cool. So this is also a really cool one that I like. And because there's a lot of fabric, it adds to the bump. It gives you a lot. It's just a really long rectangular scarf with dangly bits at the end. It's very wrinkly because it's been wadded up in my basket. So with this, because if I were to just throw this over, I would end up with tons of fabric down the back of my neck, which I don't want. So what I usually do is I fold it about probably a third of the way, maybe a little bit less than a third. And it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be perfect, you don't have to lay down on your bed and measure it. Just fold a little bit over, and take it over the top, and I didn't pull it forward enough. With this one, it is important to make sure you do get in the middle because you want these to be as even as possible. So I have them fairly even, got plenty of fabric in the back, and lots of fabric here. So we're gonna start the same way. I'm going to pull it first. Wait, I didn't get it far enough forward. Let's pull that again. We're going to tie it. And this one can really wear out your arms because it is a lot of fabric, so it does make your arms work a little bit more. Now, because there's so much fabric usually in the back, when you tie the knot here, it usually pulls the fabric in for you, so you don't have to worry about shoving it in, which is very convenient and handy. Otherwise, just go ahead and push it in or tuck it under, whichever way you want to wear it. What you want to do is, because these are the same length, you can really start with either side, it doesn't matter. But what you want to do is you want to try to get this so that it's fairly even and easy to fold over, okay? So I'm folding it in half so it becomes a little flatter. And then if you want, you can fold it in half again. So you end up with sort of this, it's a little bit more manageable than just like a big wad or knot of fabric. So you're going to take this, and whether you want it in the front, you want it in the back, you pull it over, okay? And because most of these scarves, it's a fairly heavy fabric, you can just let it hang there for a second while you work on this one. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on this one. We're going to fold it once. We're going to fold it again to make it a little flat, more manageable. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this and pull it down just to make sure that it's sitting as flat and tight as possible on top. Then I'm going to take this one, I'm going to pull this one over too. Okay, now you're probably thinking, okay, so this one's covered up a little bit, but then you have these weird strands. What am I going to do about that? And where the heck am I supposed to put this? If you have your two ends, Because of little dangly bits, you can usually tie some of the little dangly bits together in the back. And like I said, that shelf underneath the bump gives you space to work with. So you can double knot those little dangly bits so that they're sitting nicely. You don't have to do it really tightly. So then you end up, it's a little loose here, but you end up with everything sort of tied and sitting underneath your bump. And then you can just finesse. You can twist in. The twist is a very underused thing in head covering. But you twist the fabric sort of under so that it's sitting flat. I have a dangly thing over here, so you can just shove that up in there. And then you end up with sort of a very clean look. And if you don't end up tying those underneath the bump, all you do, like I said, it's the twist. You just twist it into the fabric. And if you start to feel it loosening up a little bit, all you have to do is just twist it under. No need to take it off and redo it. You just twist those ends right in to the fabric. And it sits very cleanly. And yeah, that's that. So one other thing that is very popular here that I like to do, that I like to wear, is the bands. And you can get the bands anywhere here. You can buy multi-packs of bands. It's kind of crazy. There are all sorts of different ones. And these are the bands that I'm referring to. Evidently you can go to a craft store and you can find these. It's just a simple braided band. I don't know how long it is. That's basically how long it is. And I have it in white. I have it in black. We've got, oh, they also make them here. This is all stuff you can probably do at home. If I were more crafty, I could probably do it. But this is a dark purple band that they've attached sort of this nice little piece of jewelry to. And this one is actually longer than the other ones. And they also have this sort of fuchsia one that has some nice stuff on it as well. And it's also a little bit longer. And they're a little stretchy, not super stretchy, but they work. And then you can also buy all sorts of different little additions to scarves here, so that when you have some, if you just want to wear like a plain black scarf, you can add this on and it gives you like a multi look without having too much weight on your head. And again, this is just, it's 3 pieces of fabric that are sewn together. I have another one, this one. But these, so because of the length of these, they're kind of weird. You think you should be able to start at the top and go around and pull it a couple times. But if you do that, it doesn't work. So you have to start from underneath. So you make sure your ends are even. You start at the base of the neck. And basically you just like pull it up and over, and you create different layers. And then you can either, I have too much fabric going right now. You can either tie it in the back, or if you want, you can work it into, like I said, you just fold it over, you shove it in wherever you can. You can do it that way if you want. Tying is better because they tend to stay a little bit better and they don't get loose and sort of like drift down your head. But as you can see, I just went ahead and shoved these in back here. You can't even see where it goes. So I'm like head banging and head banging and head banging and head banging, and it's not coming off. So the, shove it in method also works if you can't tie it. I think I covered all the bases there. I mean, those are all the basics that I have sort of in my collection for what I use on a regular basis. I am, because it's getting colder here, just wearing a lot of knit hats. The bummer about those is you don't get volume. You don't get body, which is frustrating because if there's one thing I miss, it's having that volume. And you don't get that in knitted hats, and you don't get that when you're just wearing a plain tichel by itself. So if you have any styles that you've seen me wear, or anything, any requests that you would like to make of, or questions or anything, or if you've seen something on someone in Israel and you just absolutely have to have it, let me know. I can try to track it down for you and send it to you. If you just absolutely have to have some of these, let me know. I can get you some. But I think that that's probably all for now. Anyway, peace, love, and kisui rosh.